Hello and welcome to Public Forum. I'm Amandra Bhatt. Today we talk about the 5-in-1 or the pentavalent vaccine which provides protection against 5 diseases, namely diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, along with hepatitis B and the H influenza B or HIV. The government has recently approved an outlay of over 300 crore rupees towards the cost of the vaccine. The pentavalent vaccine, remember, was introduced in Tamil Nadu and Kerala in December 2011, the two states with the best immunization programs. The decision to expand was taken in August 2012 after an evaluation of the two states. The pentavalent vaccine was then introduced in phases in Haryana, Puducherry, Goa and Gujarat, with Jammu Kashmir and Andhra Pradesh being the latest to join the list. This expansion of the vaccine, however, comes amidst criticism that it is doing more harm than good, with deaths being reported following immunization in Kerala and other countries in the region. Today in Public Forum, we discuss the pentavalent vaccine. We also try to address some of the safety concerns around it. And to discuss the same, we have with us in our studios 3 very distinguished guests. Please welcome Dr. V.K. Paul, who's a professor and head of the Department of Pediatrics in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. Welcome to Public Forum, Dr. Paul. Sitting next to him is Dr. N.K. Arora, who's another noted pediatrician. He is also the chairman of the National Committee on AEFI, which is Adverse Events Following Immunization. Welcome to Public Forum, Dr. Arora, and we are also joined by Aditi Tandon, senior journalist, special correspondent with the Tribune. Welcome to Public Forum, Aditi. Well, I'd like to begin with you, Dr. Paul. Just at the outset, before we focus on the pentavalent vaccine, the most important thing, what are vaccines for? Because we all have been immunized as children. I was also.
Vaccine started with smallpox vaccine, which got originated almost 100 years ago. Smallpox vaccine resulted in elimination of a disease, scourge, from the face of this earth. So vaccines have a fantastic ability to save us from diseases, and in the current state of knowledge and technology, we have a large number of vaccines, of which many have now found place in our national program because we can afford them and we can give it to every child, every person who needs it.
Okay.
And the national program focuses particularly on children because before they become old, they are already protected against those diseases, and therefore our national program encompasses immunization of every child with the following vaccines. Number 1, BCG, to protect against tuberculosis. Number 2, polio vaccine, the oral polio vaccine to protect against polio. Then as a package of 5 vaccines that you are referring to, the diphtheria, gala ghontu bukhar, Hindi mein kehte hain, pertussis, which is
or Bangladesh, Bhutan, or Sri Lanka, or Vietnam. In all these places, after very extensive local as well as international causality assessment, investigations of the death, it was conclusively proven that none of these deaths are because of the vaccine, pentavalent vaccine. The second thing, one important thing which came up in Sri Lanka recently, that if a child has a congenital heart disease, then probably the vaccine should not be given, because there was a unusual association with a possibility of death in those kids who had congenital heart disease.
Okay.
Now the story, actually beyond that there is very little. Now coming to the issue of deaths in Kerala, in a few 2 or 3 deaths have occurred in Tamil Nadu. Few deaths have been reported from Haryana recently. A death was reported from J&K also. Now let's understand what is apprehended, what is going on in the community, and how does that superimpose on top of that in terms of these reportings. The nearest cohort, like India, we have an annual birth cohort of 26 million, while in China
we have to take a break in the program. Stay with us, our discussion continues on the other side. to Public Forum. We are talking about the pentavalent vaccine and the safety concerns around it. Program. We have Chaudhary in our studios, who's an independent journalist. Welcome to Public Forum, Mahua Chaudhary. If I may continue with you, we were discussing the pentavalent vaccine and how this is an effective public health intervention, especially for a country like India. But there are also safety concerns around it. We've been discussing the deaths that have been reported from countries in the region, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Vietnam, and also in our own country, in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. How do you look at these reports? How legitimate are these concerns?
Well, when it comes to children, I think, and when there are deaths related to that, there is obviously going to be concern. And as a journalist, what I can say is that, vaccines we know are safe. That is a given, because without your safety trials, they're not going to be introduced.
Right.
But the problem is that from the social aspect, I think, because when a parent loses a child, it's their right to find out what actually happened. What I see is a gap is in communication. I think what happens is when adverse events actually occur, there is really no clarification from the point of the government or hospital authorities. Parents are not really clear why the child died.
Right.
So that, I think, is the biggest gap at the moment. Also, I'm not very sure, you see, the kind of investigations that happen after the deaths occur, there are a lot of gaps there. Sometimes parents don't want autopsies to be done in the reporting of adverse events. So,
okay, we will talk about the role of the media here in greater detail a little later. But Aditi, where does this mistrust then come from? If a parent loses a child shortly after a vaccine is delivered, what do you tell them?
Really, as Mahua has pointed out, the systems, how are the audits really also happening in our country? What are the regulatory mechanisms? For instance, this is not the first time we are debating vaccine safety. We had a huge debate around the HPV vaccine for cancer of the cervix 2 years ago, and it was actually media pressure followed by politicians. A lot of politicians also became interested in that whole issue, because it was again an issue related to deaths of children, who were administered the vaccine, and that was during the clinical trial phase. And the vaccine had to be suspended, the HPV vaccine. Ultimately, it was the pressure from the media, from the community, which forced the government to set up a committee. And that was when the information started percolating down, what had really happened. That was when the publication came of the ICMR had set up a committee. And that was when we were told that yes, there were problems. The consents were not taken. Adolescent girls had to give consent in writing, or their parents had to give consent, but it was ultimately investigated and found out that the hostel wardens on the behalf of these children were actually giving consent. So where is our regulatory?
Dr. Arora, focusing on the deaths that that have taken place post administering of the pentavalent vaccine, do you think that also has to do with the time at which it is administered? Because most children are at risk when they are newborns, or in the first year of their life. They are more prone to these vulnerable diseases.
Yeah, we will go to very specifics, because if I take example of Uttar Pradesh versus I take example of Kerala, the difference in the infant mortality is almost 1/5 or so. So even if within Kerala, every year when 1,000 newborns take birth, about 11 to 12 die in the first year, and out of these 11 or 12, around 6 die within first month of life, and remaining 6 die in the 11 months of the child's life. So there are these deaths taking place, and deaths take place every day. The infants keep on dying because of various illnesses. But correctly, about 4 children we had autopsy reports also, and it is very interesting. SIDS on autopsy you don't find any specific findings. You don't find a reason why the child has died. So and exactly this is what happened, that it appears that SIDS death is becoming coming out in open because of heightened awareness.
So I believe once the process of this nature has been taken up, in a comprehensive manner by unbiased people, if I from them hear that, look, there is no attribution of these deaths, I would like to believe it, attribution to vaccine. So in that, putting everything together, our belief as an academic pediatrician is that we believe that this particular vaccine is safe, and the adverse effects that we are hearing, the serious adverse effects that we are hearing, the deaths that we are hearing about, have no attribution to the vaccine per se. We still have to answer a few questions, as Dr. Arora very correctly said. What is it that due to? Are we uncovering a hidden disease or disease, because of the heightened awareness and the spotlight that we are putting on it? But as the country evolves with strengthening its systems, we have to grapple with this. But the message that I would like to give across, having heard from him, having seen the report, keeping a very close watch, that we as an academic community would like to believe that this vaccine is safe, the risks are not there, and we should continue to go ahead with this. At the same time, I think we all should be grateful to the civil society, grateful to the media for bringing these issues up, because we hold ourselves accountable to it. The government and the policy makers, we all are accountable to this, and in a democratic nation, these questions must be asked, because we should fulfill the scrutiny of the public and the society at large. And
I wanted to add up what Dr. Paul is saying and what I was saying before, that since most of these deaths are reported within 72 hours of given the vaccine, and if deaths are occurring unrelated to the vaccine, it means death should be occurring at other time periods also. So between the first dose of the vaccine and 4 weeks later we get the second dose, and the 4 weeks later we give the third dose. So there is intervening periods of 4 weeks each.
Okay.
And death should be occurring. If we are saying that these are unrelated, they should be occurring randomly all over the place. And to set the record right, to get the evidence that yes, these things are happening in the community, it just happens that because we do not have a very robust surveillance system, only things which are occurring very proximal or very near to the vaccination, only those are getting reported, rest are not reported. So this country is going to take up a major study on the ground that infants who are vaccinated, they are followed up meticulously, a very large number, for after the first dose for next 4 months, to see that how are deaths occurring at every week after a vaccination and before a vaccination, to set this issue, because this issue is likely to come up for every vaccine. Right. Tomorrow if I introduce rotavirus into my system, or I introduce PCV vaccine into the system, again this kind of voices will come up, right, that the death is because of this particular vaccine. So we need to set out, and as very rightly said, I think we should be grateful to everybody who is raising a concern, raising a suspicion, because it is forcing the country to have a robust surveillance system, so that when we introduce new vaccines, this kind of issues are taken care of.
We'll discuss the concerns about immunization in general in our country when we return from this short break. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Public Forum. We are talking about the pentavalent vaccine. I'll continue with you. In recent years, we've seen a growing number of parents who have concerns about immunization. Many are refusing to vaccinate their children because of something they've read somewhere or heard somewhere. How do we address these concerns? Because medical experts, of course, say that there is no evidence linking vaccines with deaths that are being reported or the after.
You're absolutely right. You see, we are noticing a lot of resistance to vaccination. You must understand that in this country we are actually more open to treatment. When someone falls ill, you go for treatment. Now vaccines are about prevention.
Right.
So a lot of mothers will ask you that why should I vaccinate this newborn? Why give an injection? There is also this fear of injectables. They're scared about that. And because there is a lack of communication within the community, after DPT you can have fever or pain, or after BCG you can get a little bit of pus around the injection site. Now since they're not explained why that these are natural side effects and they'll pass off in a couple of days, and if you give crocin, simple things like that, the child will be fine. And of course weigh the whole benefits of having the vaccines. Parents are very scared. So one child has this, then the grandmother or the grandfather will say, this child was absolutely healthy, what happened to the child?
Right.
So because of a lot of lack of information, parents are pretty much scared to give vaccines. That conversation is still, there's a big gap.
Right.
And largely in the north. In the south, what happens, all the states, they've already got a very robust system in place.
Right.
So parents anyway go and immunize their children. But in the north, in the east, this is not happening. So we see the resistance is also because of the lack of communication and the fear that builds around, you know, the event. If it happens, it can actually damage the whole program in a big way. So
absolutely. Aditi, why do you think we are not able to convey these success stories, the benefits of these vaccines, and tell people that, you know, the side effects are minor or really small compared with the health risks that are associated with the diseases that they intend to prevent?
The element of awareness that I was earlier referring to, how much of that element is built into our public health delivery?
Just Google the word vaccine and side effect, or vaccine and autism, or vaccine and sudden death syndrome. You will find millions of hits.
Yes. In fact, I would just start that there is global principles of introducing a vaccine. And the first two principles are, and as I would like to end the point that probably vaccines are the only public health interventions which are actually reaching the poorest, who need them, where children are dying, where people are suffering. When the child becomes sick, I am able to take a child to my doctor. But when a poor...
Say, we have gone into introducing pentavalent vaccine as a nation after very careful thinking. We accept that when interventions are put in place at such a large scale in a very diverse population with different nutritional status, illnesses and so on, there are issues which come up, and that's the business of the kind of committees and kind of the processes that Dr. Arora referred to. We should strengthen those systems, we should believe in the outputs that come out of these, but at the same time, having reassured the society and our people, I also like to very humbly accept the fact that yes, there could be new things that would come up where we would find out whether they have any relationship to that particular intervention or some association with some disease states. We should continue to explore and find the underpinnings of those new issues which may be important. As Dr. Arora said, the scientific pursuit must go on till we really know
and discuss that issue. But you know, the resistant strains that are coming up, you have to reduce the use of antibiotics, and how do you do that? You do that with vaccines.
Absolutely. On that note, it's time for me to wrap up the discussion here. I'd like to thank all my guests for coming to the studios. It was a pleasure having you all here. That's it for now in this edition of Public Forum. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.